I'll be reading from John 13, 34 through 35. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another.
Well, good morning, everybody. It is good to be here this morning. You know, this is a time of year where we talk about Christmas gifts. We get excited about Christmas gifts. Yesterday, I wrapped some Christmas gifts. But it's also a time of year that can be kind of frustrating and challenging, especially for people like me who wait till the last minute. One of the things on my wife's gift list is a 2021 daily planning calendar. So 2 pages for every day. I went to Mardell's on Friday, and they're completely sold out. So I went to Office Depot on Saturday, completely sold out. I did find one online at Amazon for about $80, and I said, $80 for a planner? I can buy a ream of paper for less than that and just print it. My wife's not getting a planner for Christmas. That's what that means. But when I think about Christmas gifts, when I think about gifts in general, I have to go back to there is one gift, more than any gift I have ever received from any person in the world, that means more to me. And it's a little blue photo album, and it's sitting right there. On June 5th, 2004, one day after our 10-year anniversary, we spent the night at a hotel in New Jersey and went to dinner. And at dinner, my wife, because we were getting ready to get on a cruise ship the next day for our 10-year anniversary, my wife hands me this little album. And this little album has one picture and one letter for every year of our first 10 years, summarizing thoughts, dreams, hopes, challenges, successes, miracles for every single year. I had no idea I was getting a gift that night. I thought we were excited. We were going on a cruise for the first time. That was the gift. But she gave me this album. And I was amazed. I was stunned. It means more to me than any gift I've ever gotten. But Tunick is not the greatest gift giver. God is. God is the best gift giver ever. And when I think about all that He has given us, I am amazed, because so many times we fail to think about all the things He gives. And God gives us so many great things. In fact, in Genesis chapter 1, God gave us life. In Genesis chapter 1, in fact, God says in Genesis 1, verse 26, God gives Adam and Eve dominion over all of creation. He said, here you go. Not only have I made you, formed you, breathed life into you, given you my image. Not only have I done that, I have also given you this entire creation. Just a couple of verses later, we find out that God gave us food. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 29, God gives them every plant to eat. 8 chapters later, after the flood, he tells Noah, not only have I given you every plant, but I am also giving you every animal. God provides food. He provides what we need to survive. More than just food to eat, clothing, all the basic necessities that we have, God gives us skills, talents, and abilities. In Exodus chapter 31, God has just finished outlining to Moses the tabernacle. All of the different things about the tabernacle, the poles and the rings for the curtains, and how the curtains are to be made, and how each individual item that is for service and use in the tabernacle and for worship is to be built. Everything to an exact specification. And then in chapter 31, he says, I have filled him, speaking of Bezalel of Uri, son of Hur, one guy there in the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with ability and intelligence, with knowledge and all craftsmanship, to devise artistic designs, to work in gold, silver, and bronze, in cutting stones for setting, and in carving wood, to work in every craft. And with him he appoints others and makes sure that they have the abilities, the skills, the talents necessary to create this perfect place for Israel to worship there in the desert. This amazing tabernacle. But more than just talents and abilities, and actually before I leave there, in Deuteronomy chapter 8, we'll go back for a second, he talks about making sure that we know that what we have. Too often you hear people talking about how I have made money or I have earned this. But in the New Testament, we get this idea and sense that we are stewards of what God has given us. And he reminds in Deuteronomy 8, he reminds Israel to be careful about thinking too much of themselves and what they've done. And in chapter 8, verse 17, he says, beware lest you say in your heart, my power and my might have gotten me this wealth. For you shall remember that it is God, the Lord your God, who gives you power to get wealth. Everybody's got different skills and abilities. There are some people that just have a way with writing. That just the books they write, the things that come to their minds, they captivate and draw you in. They have a way with words, with language. There are some people that are phenomenal salesmen. They can sell anything to anyone. That's just a gift they have. There are other people that can do neither of those things, but give them a hammer, give them a saw, give them a wrench, give them a torch, give them some tool or something, and they can make or build or fix or repair anything. Some people are gifted teachers. Some people are gifted money makers. I have a sister. She's just great at making money, managing money. She just is. She's who takes care of my parents' finances. She just has a gift. I usually can't find the money I put in my pocket the next day. Half the time I think it falls out of a hole, and I can't find the hole. But everyone's got gifts and talents and abilities, and God says, I want you to know that you have those because I gave them to you. Here's a gift we don't often think about as a gift, is that God has given us laws for our good. There's this amazing passage in Deuteronomy chapter 7 where God talks about if you're careful to keep all of my commands, if you're careful to do all of the things that I've asked you to do, you will be blessed. You will not see some of the suffering that goes on in the nations around you. In fact, he goes on to say it in verse 15, and the Lord will take away from you all sickness, and none of the evil diseases of Egypt which you knew will he inflict on you, but he will lay them on all who hate you. We don't often think about laws as being a blessing, but I want you to think about this. Imagine you made me governor of Oklahoma, and as my first official act, I removed every traffic light, street sign, stoplight, speed limit, and took away every motor violation there ever could be. No more speed limits, no more stop. In fact, we took away the lines on the road too. There's no more one-ways. Every road's just a road. Drive the way you want. How many car accidents are going to happen that first day? How many terms am I going to be? I probably won't even keep my first term. We think it's a great idea, but think about the chaos that would bring. The reason I feel comfortable going 70 miles an hour on the turnpike is because there are lanes, and I know the cars that are coming the opposite direction are on the other side. If they could be anywhere, I don't know that I'd go 70. It just is crazy. But those rules, those laws, they're important. God says in Deuteronomy 7:15 that none of the diseases you found in Egypt you will have. What's so amazing about that is we think about and we look at Leviticus and we look at Deuteronomy and Numbers and all the dietary laws and the restrictions about clean animals and unclean animals and what you can eat, what you can't eat. But when you dive down in and really start researching it, it's interesting. All of the birds that you can't eat, they're all scavengers. You can eat fish with scales, but if it doesn't have scales, can't eat it. Why? Because a lot of the other type of crustacean and sea animals, scavengers. Isn't it interesting that you can catch salmon or you can catch trout and they have scales, but catfish don't have scales the same way. They just got this kind of slippery skin. The skin's different because catfish eat off the bottom of the bottom. They're scavengers. Pigs are omnivores. They eat anything. They were unclean. God created a series of laws that would protect them from certain diseases and parasites and dangers that other nations knew. They were infected with them. These laws were there for their good. And not just dietary laws. It took us into the 1800s? Somebody in the medical profession will know this. Into the 1800s before we started washing hands for surgery. You know how many people died during the Civil War from infection? Because surgeons didn't wash hands or instruments between patients? And yet, if you look through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the number of times you have to wash your hands, you have to wash your body, you have to wash your clothes, you have to wash the articles, you have to wash, you have to bathe, you have to wait to be clean. How come? It wasn't because God was a neat freak. It was because God knew what they needed long before we ever figured it out. God gave us laws for our own good. And not just laws. God gave us a Savior. You know, it's this time of year that we talk about Jesus a lot. We sing songs about Christmas and about Jesus coming. But what we need to remember, what's most important to keep in mind, is that you and I cannot have a relationship with God without someone to save us. It's not possible. We're lost. A few weeks ago, Jake did a sermon and from the pulpit said, I'm a sinner. You know, the older I get, you would think I would do a better job of not sinning, but I find that the older I get, the more I recognize sin in my own life. Things that I've been doing all my life. Why? Why did you do that? Why did you think that way? Why did you say that? Why did you fail to do this other thing? We're all sinners in here. Every one of us can only have a relationship with God because God makes it possible through His Son. God is the greatest gift giver. He has given us so much. In fact, I would tell you that every good and perfect gift is given by God. In James 1:17, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no variation or shadow due to change. Not just physical blessings, but the blessings of love, the gift of family, the gift of joy, the gift of hope, the gift of salvation, the gift of His Spirit. All of those gifts come from God. There is no better gift giver. So if you take anything away from this morning, it's God is the best gift giver ever. But we can't stop there. Stephen got a gift on Saturday from his caregiver, a small weighted lap blanket. And I put my hand on Stephen's shoulder after she gave him the gift, and he looked at me, and I did this. Now, you may not see that, but I'm beginning the sound of TH. To which Stephen said, "Thank you." Because that's what we do. When we get gifts, we typically say thank you, because that's polite. God's given us gifts, and thanking Him for what He's given us is absolutely an appropriate response. But God has asked us to do more than just thank Him. God has asked us to regift. I know regifting can be kind of a taboo subject because someone gives you a gift and then you give that gift away and people don't like that. You won't be able to give what God's given to you away quite the same way. Now, we make attempts at regifting that might be appropriate. I put 2 albums up here on the communion table. There's a second one. In 2009, 15 years after we'd been married, Tunick graduated with her master's degree. Now, early in January of that same year, I reached out to all of our family, friends, people from churches long before, people from churches in Connecticut, in Michigan, family members across the country, and I said, I need a photo, and I want you to write a letter, or a note, or a sentence. And I assembled this book because Tunick got her associate's degree, and then her bachelor's degree, and then her master's degree. And it took 15 years to get all of her degrees. And it was quite an achievement. And so I assembled this photo album. And so I surprised her on graduation with this as a gift. I kind of mirrored it after what she did, just I didn't have to do quite as much writing as everybody else did. I still wrote something, and it was really nice. But regifting is never as good as the original gift. You'll notice in the blue album that Tunick gave me, there's a picture of our cruise ship, notes about our cruise sailing, even a couple of photos from us on the cruise. On the little black album, there's a picture from her graduation with an associate's degree, and a picture with a graduation from her bachelor's degree, and there's a label for a picture that says MSW. That was supposed to go in there. That's still not done. I remembered that when I pulled out the album. Oh, man. And so sometimes we can try, but we will never be as good of gift giving, as good at gift giving as Jesus is, as God has been. But that does not mean we aren't supposed to give away our gifts. There are so many passages in the New Testament that talk about giving and serving. In fact, Jesus summed up all of Scripture, all of the Bible can be summed up in 2 commands. Love God, love others. Well, God's given us gifts, and the best way we love others is by giving some of those gifts away. In fact, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 16, he tells us to let our light shine, give and be shiny for God's glory. You see, we give and we do those things not so that we get praise. In fact, Peter will tell you that we're supposed to keep our conduct, the way we live, honorable, so that people will see what we do. And though they might not like the fact that we're Christians, they might not like who we are, they will still see something different about how we live rightly. That in the end, the only thing they can attribute that to is God. And they will give him glory. He goes on to say, give, serve, and be generous in every way. In 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 8 to 12, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. Our responsibility is to be full of good works, good deeds, good actions that serve other people. Generously serve. This is so important that Gene's job description changed this year. His goal is that every single person will find a way to be active in ministry and service here at the church. So whether you're 18 or 81 or anywhere in between, there is something for you to do. Gene will help you figure out what it is. Maybe it's sitting at home and writing cards to all of our birthdays, or cards to all of our sick and everyone on the prayer list. In a day where we're missing some of that contact with people, getting a card in the mail just means something special. Maybe it's joining Jake and being an active encourager for him and for others in the prayer ministry, going out and praying for people, or helping out in the food pantry or clothing ministry, or any other number of ministries and opportunities to serve here. But if you don't know where, if you don't know what, if you don't know how, go ask Gene. He'll give you 100 suggestions. He'll help you find your place, because you have a place here. And not just a place in a pew. You have a place where you can put your talents to use, your abilities to use. If you're under 18, if you're in middle school or high school, talk to your parents. Talk to Houston. Ask Houston, hey, I want to do something. He'll help you figure out what. And if you're not even in high school or middle school yet, but you're younger than that, most of those folks are out. But if you are, find your parents. Connect with Angela for a way to get the little ones to help serve. Every person has a place here, and a role, and a function, and a job, and a purpose. But it's more than just that. Not only are we called to give and serve in every way, but we're also called to forgive, to give grace and mercy. In Matthew, Jesus tells us that if we don't know how to forgive, then how will we understand and receive forgiveness? Later in Matthew, he tells this parable, and he ends the parable with this statement by the king to the wicked servant, and he says, "Should not you have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had mercy on you?" Shouldn't you have had mercy? Shouldn't you have shown mercy? Because you've been shown mercy. The last point about this whole thing is that it's most important that we give love. It's good to serve. It's good to meet needs. It's good to help people. It's good to love people. But loving people is the most important thing. We are called to be people who love. The whole way the world knows who we are, that we follow Jesus, is by our love. And if we can't show love to one another, whether you wear a mask or don't wear a mask, whether you like masks or think they're ridiculous, whether you like washing your hands or don't wash your hands, whether you're Republican or Democrat, whether you voted for Biden or Trump or didn't vote at all, I don't care. I care that you love Jesus. And I want you to know that I love you. And that's what we're about. That's what matters most. That's what everything is for. Jesus laid down his life for us. Our responsibility is to lay down our lives for others. To take the gifts we've been given, so many gifts, and share them. To re-gift them. Jesus is the best gift ever. And if you don't know that, if you've never considered that, if you've never been baptized, if you've never put him on, made him in charge, it's kind of like a gift. Under my tree right now, there are gifts. One of them has my name on it. To me. But if I never open that gift, if I never unwrap it, if I never take that gift and I just let it sit there, it really does me no good. Jesus is kind of the same way. It's a gift. You have the gift. But you've got to open it up and put it on. And Scripture will tell us we do that through baptism. But not only is Jesus the best gift, but the second thing that I want you to take away is this idea to be like him. To give like him, to serve like him. I'm excited. Lynn and I are doing a class on Sunday morning starting probably the second week in January based on a book called Generous Justice. And in chapter 5, the last couple of sentences of chapter 5 of this book by Timothy Keller, he quotes a preacher, a young Scottish preacher from the 1800s, who's given this whole sermon about giving and sharing and being generous and gracious. And he says, if you would be like Christ, give much, give often, give freely to the vile and the poor, the thankless and the undeserving. Christ is glorious and happy, and so will you be. It's not your money I want, the Scottish preacher was telling the congregation, but your happiness. Remember his own word, it is more blessed to give than to receive. Generous Justice is a great book. But the focus is all about how if we have received Jesus, if we know who he is, if we've taken him on as Lord, if we've been baptized in him, if we've put him on as our clothing, then we need to be like him by giving and loving and serving the way he did. That's the whole point. You won't be as good as God. But isn't our goal to try to be like him as much as possible? If we as a congregation can help you achieve that, if you need help, if there's anything we can do to serve you or love you, won't you come as we stand and sing?